Welcome to the Health, Wealth, and Wisdom Summit, Parents Edition. Your host for this session is Ava Goulet. Ava is the founder of Dancing Jaguar Inspirations and an international best-selling author. She's got another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Ava.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And I'm so excited to be here with our next speaker. I'm so glad that all of you are here listening to her because I can't wait to hear her share the incredible work that she's doing. Dr. Beata Harasim is here with us right now, and she is a holistic and integrative doctor of physical therapy, a fellow of the American Healer, access their divine intuition, and fall in love with themselves every day. So please, everyone, welcome Dr. Beata Harasim to the summit. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you so much, Ava. It's great to be here. And I wanted just to start with a couple of powerful questions to our audience. And so especially if our audience has been having some health challenges or your little ones have been having health challenges, what if you knew that you could only take the supplements that make the biggest difference for you? Or what if you only followed the protocols that work the best for your body or your little one's body? Or you only took yoga classes or meditation classes or used strategies that your system was actually able to receive and heal with? How much time, money, and effort and energy would you be saving? How much faster would you see healing and feel better? And what could you be doing with all those extra resources? Could you be spending more time with your kids? Could you be going on more adventures and enjoying life and being present? So in my opinion, this is the missing piece in our healthcare model and medical system. Because what ends up happening is culturally, we're taught that we go to a healthcare provider, they tell us what to do and we follow their instructions. And then we go for a follow-up and we follow their instructions again, etc. And what's lost there is this innate knowing that we already have what we know what's best for ourselves and our little ones. And yes, we need guidance. We need someone to do an evaluation and assessment, give us options. And by not being a part of that decision-making process, we're losing a part of our power. We're giving away our power to these practitioners, to the providers, to the classes. And once we start tapping in and recognizing, is my body, is my system able to actually receive this? Am I actually able to utilize this? Are these supplements making a difference? And then being able to pick and choose, that is where you reclaim your power. That is where you start to stand in your power and you access that innate healing ability that we all have. So one of the things is, who is this for? And it ends up being a really broad topic because this is really for anyone. Specifically, I've been working with moms, but any woman, any man, anyone who has had health challenges and you've tried the supplements, you've tried the diets, you've tried the protocols, you've tried the yoga classes, meditation, talk therapy, etc., and you're not seeing healing, you're not seeing results. And some of the conditions that I do specialize in are autoimmunity, digestive conditions, skin conditions, colic, reflux, eczema, food allergies, food sensitivities or intolerances, anxiety and depression, pain, chronic pain, etc., etc. The list goes on. So some of the things that you may be noticing, signs and symptoms wise, is that you feel like you're not enjoying your days. And, we all have periods of time where, we have a couple of rough days, or we may have periods of that day that we're not enjoying ourselves. But if you're not feeling like you're experiencing joy and unconditional love and abundance and presence, at least in certain parts of the day, every day, then those are signs and symptoms that there's something missing. There's something that you can still do. You can tap into that intuition. And that's a key piece of healing, especially with health conditions that not many people are talking about, and something that I'm really passionate about. So it's the missing piece, because when our system is not in a capacity to receive healing, no matter what we do, we can be doing all the supplements, all the diets, etc. we're not going to see the results. We're not going to experience healing. We're not going to experience progress. And that is something that personally I experienced, especially when my daughter was born. And she did have colic, eczema, reflux. She had severe food allergies through my breast milk. And in that challenge of one, becoming a first-time mom, which is challenging enough as it is, and then on top of having these health conditions that we were trying to figure out and trying to get help for, I recognized that I completely abandoned myself. I felt like I lost myself. And it took a really long time, years, for me to get those pieces of myself back, to rediscover myself. And again, that way, I was able to start healing, because what my daughter's experience brought to light is that I had health conditions that were just brewing under the surface and came to light with our experience. So there's a lot of power in that. And again, culturally, I believe that many of us have felt like we've been abandoning ourselves for the majority of our lives. And I know personally, I felt like I have been abandoning myself for the majority of my life, until I started to tap into this inner wisdom, this higher self, this innate knowing. And that has literally transformed my life.
That is so powerful. Can I just comment on that? How I absolutely love that is such an integral part of the work that you do with moms, is just that connecting, not just moms, I guess, but that connecting to their own innate inner wisdom is so important. And I just wanted to comment when you were talking about how we lose our power when we go to any medical doctor, or so many other people that we go to in our lives, where we just give them our power. And so many of us were brought up where we needed to respect authority and what they know, because they are the authority in this. They are the expert. And what you're doing is bringing people back to their own inner knowing. And I'm so excited to hear you talk about this. So I just wanted to just say that's really beautiful to hear. Tell us more.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And that was one of the things, part of my personal journey, is that when I did start my healing journey with my daughter, we tried so many things, and our traditional practitioners at the time were not open to holistic or integrative practices. It was exactly that, you kind of had a choice, but you really didn't have a choice, because they were the authority and this is what they were wanting us to do. And when I was going there, I totally felt like I was powerless. And again, from my upbringing, just like you mentioned, I was brought up to respect authority, to follow kind of just instructions. Mm-hmm. And so I was very lucky that I was able to tap into that spark of intuition inside that was screaming at me. And when I look back, now I can recognize it was my body. Everything was screaming at me, because what our providers wanted us to do was to stop breastfeeding and to go to formula. And for some people, that is a great option. And at the time, my body and that intuition was screaming at me that no, that was not going to be the best option for us. And especially when we are overwhelmed, we're stressed, we're sleep deprived, usually as new moms, it's challenging to tap into that intuition, but also trust it. And I think myself that day I decided to trust it. And I went with it, that gut response, that gut feeling. And I looked for answers in other places. And that's one of the things that I highly recommend for any, again, moms, but even women, men, if you are going to providers and you are being dismissed, you are not feeling heard and listened to, if you feel like you have no say in the plan of care and your decisions, I highly recommend getting a second opinion and knowing that you can say no, and they may be upset or they may not like it, and that's okay. And it took me a long time to really learn that and to stand in that and to reclaim that power again. And in that journey, there's healing just in going through that process, especially if you haven't been able to say no in the past. especially if you haven't been able to really stand for your beliefs in the past. That is a healing journey in itself, just going through and reclaiming that power.
Yep, that's an amazing journey that you've been on, and I just love how you really listened to what your body was trying to tell you when the medical people, the authority experts were telling you to stop breastfeeding, and you knew that was not the right choice for you. So that started an incredible journey for you, didn't it?
It did. And that was the thing, we eventually found practitioners that were aligned with our beliefs. And this is another kind of interesting piece, is that at one point, I think we had 7 or 8 practitioners that we were seeing simultaneously. And thankfully, I had the background to integrate all of those protocols and knowledge, etc. And during that process, that's when my intuition, I started trusting it more. And I started essentially doing my own work. And I would find things and say, this really resonates with me. I'm going to study this. I'm going to focus on this. And what ended up happening is all of the practitioners were saying that, wow, all of a sudden your healing just started exponentially increasing. And what it was is that by following my intuition, I was able to really just get the pieces that I needed. And then, for example, come to the appointment that we had scheduled and say, hey, I've already looked into this. I've already tried this. I've already done this. And so it took out months of guesswork or trial and error because I was following that intuition. So it just sped up our progress and our healing so much. And it continues to speed up because we're always on a healing journey. And it is honestly, transformative when you start getting that power back and you start seeing it literally happen in front of your eyes. And that's one of the things that I really strongly stand for. Any clients that I work with, I do an assessment, I do an evaluation, and then I essentially put it into the client's hands and say, this is what I'm seeing. What feels right to you? These are the decisions that I think my intuition is saying would be a good option. What feels best to you? And they are ultimately the ones making that final decision. They are the ones that are listening to their heart, to their body, to their little ones, energetic fields, etc., and making that ultimate decision. And it's also giving ourselves grace because we sometimes don't make those right decisions or the best decision, we can say. And that's okay because that's a learning experience in itself. So those are some of those key components that I really believe in when we are tapping into that innate healing and knowing, is that there is a part of us, this higher self, which is all knowing, already healed, already knows all the answers. It's just tapping into that, trusting it, and almost going with the flow of our healing journey.
Mm-hmm. That is such an empowering way for you to work with your patients. I would love to live closer to you. That sounds like such a great thing. I would love to be a part of that. Because I've been interviewing a number of speakers today who really work well with helping their clients understand intuition and the importance it plays in our lives. I heard you say before that you needed to check in with yourself to see if it resonated with you. Do you want to just talk a tiny bit or explain what you mean, what resonates with you means for those people who might just be starting to tap into what intuition is?
Absolutely. And so there's a number of pieces in that I like to talk about. What I always like to start with is feeling into your body. And so being present and mindful of our body, whether it be emotions that may be coming up for us, whether it is body sensations that are coming up for us, whether it's just like this knowing. Some of us just have a sense. And so I'm curious if any of the audience has ever experienced that, where you just get a feeling like, oh, I have to do this. Or, maybe you're like planning a trip and then last minute you're like, no, we are not going. And that's that mama instinct, that intuition kicking in. So there's different ways that it presents in all of us. Some people are very visual, so they may literally get visions or images, which is wonderful. Some are more auditory. And so in order to access that, the piece of the puzzle that is challenging is that our nervous system needs to be regulated. Our emotional system needs to be regulated. And so what that means is that there are two different parts of the autonomic nervous system. There is the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight response. So that is when we, let's say we're driving on the highway and someone cuts us off and we have to slam on the brakes in that last minute. Automatically, there is a physiological response that happens in our body. Our heart starts beating and we act on reflex, right? It's a reaction. We don't have time to think. We don't consciously process. We just do. And there's a physiological response that happens there, along with emotional, hormonal, mental changes as well in that moment. And then the parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest state. That is the healing state. That is where we can just be, where something happens and we can process and we can respond instead of reacting. Now, the challenge is that many of us are living in that fight or flight state nowadays because we get a text message, it triggers fight or flight. Again, we may be stuck in traffic, triggers fight or flight. Our children may be having a tantrum or screaming, it triggers fight or flight. So if we're in that fight or flight state, we can't access our intuition. We can't access that innate knowing because our nervous system physiologically is not allowing us to. We are in survival mode. We are not in a, again, healing state and a rest and digest state. So that first step is transitioning into being able to get into rest and digest more often and being able to be mindful of when we're going into fight or flight. Those are the two kind of foundational steps, in my opinion, because from there, then we can start accessing that intuition. And it takes practice. It takes practice to be mindful of what's coming up for you, being really present and aware to it. And then again, that trusting piece where sometimes it's not a logical thing, right? Consciously. So for example, with my daughter, in hindsight, or at the moment, it may have seemed to be a lot easier to just transition to formula. However, that higher self knew my daughter was so sensitive at the time that she wouldn't have been able to tolerate formula as we went down our journey anyway. So logically, it didn't necessarily make sense, but my body, my intuition, everything was screaming at me to trust that and to go with it. So those Beautiful. Are kind of the steps that I kind of work through, and there's lots of micro steps in there as well, but that's kind of the overall picture.
That's beautiful. What an empowering doctor you are for people to go to. I mean, that's such a blessing to have you in the community that you live in. Would you tell us a little bit about your free gift and what people will find when they click on the link that is put into the chat?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to. So the free gift that I have for the audience today, which I'm very excited about, is essentially the 3 steps to access your innate healing. And what that is just like that little kind of summary that I mentioned. I break it down into those 3 steps. We go in depth. And there's also guided exercises. So videos where you can start, you can learn the practice and you can start incorporating it into your daily routine. And so again, empowerment is such a big piece for me because once you learn these skills, it's something that you have for a lifetime. It's not something that, you have for like a moment, like if you get a new, mug or something like that. But these are skills that literally you have for a lifetime. You can use in all aspects of your life. And as parents, we have this extra ability, this amazing ability to teach our children the same skills. And that is where we start making a generational difference. We start really having a larger, profound impact on generations to come. So those skills are there. And then I'm also in that cheat sheet offering a free workshop. And that free workshop is going to be live, but there's also recordings. And in that workshop, you are going to start experiencing your innate intuition coming through, because sometimes it needs a little bit of guidance to kind of tease out, especially if people, some people that I've connected with, and I know myself in the past, have felt numb, or like you don't really know what you're even feeling, what's coming up for you. So sometimes it takes a little bit of guidance to get you to start experiencing that, to start letting it, allowing it to come through. So I'm really excited about that workshop as well. That's included in that freebie. And yeah, that I'm really excited to help others through that process and start tapping into themselves.
Great, great. So do you want to tell us a little bit about where your practice is and where you live?
Yes, absolutely. So currently I practice in the state of Connecticut. I have two places that I practice out of, one in West Hartford and one in New Britain. And I've actually done the majority of this work in particular online. So I do have international clients, and the approach is that we can teach you how to tap into your intuition no matter where you are. The benefit of being physical is that as a orthopedic manual physical therapist, I also do body work. So that is incorporating the hands-on with the intuition piece, with the gut health, with the energetic work, with the emotional clearing. But everything except that body work piece, we can do virtually as well. So that is one of the benefits of modern technology, which I am so grateful for, and being able to work with patients and clients all over the world.
That is fabulous. Wonderful. So that means everybody who's listening to this presentation right now would be able to reach out to you and book a session with you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Great. So we just have a couple of minutes left, and I'd like you to share with us whatever closing thoughts you have, or anything that you'd like to leave us with.
Yeah. Again, I think the biggest takeaway that I would love the audience to have is that if you are struggling with health challenges, whether it is, again, you or your little ones, and you feel like you've been stuck, like you've been going to providers and they're giving Band-Aid solutions, you're just not seeing results, you're stuck on the hamster wheel doing the same things, taking a million supplements, or you're just doing all the classes, etc. And as soon as you leave the yoga class, you're triggered right into a fight or flight response when you get into your car or whatnot. I just want you to know that there is more. There is something that you can do. And again, if those things aren't aligned with you, if those things are not aligned with your healing journey in that moment, it's not that they're bad. They're just not what you need in the moment. So by accessing this inner knowing, this innate healing, this innate intuition, you'll be able to know exactly and make the decision of what do you need at that moment. And that's going to change over time. So I just want to empower you to start being mindful, start being aware, listen to your body. And again, if you have providers that aren't listening, that you're not feeling heard, go ahead and get second opinions. Look for someone else. Look for someone who's willing to work with you.
Powerful stuff. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. All right, everybody. So we're going to wind down in just a couple of minutes here. And let me just check and see if there are any other questions in the chat. Nope, I do not think so. So thank you for being here. And it's been a pleasure learning about you and your practice. And I think your patients are so lucky and blessed to be able to have you as their practitioner. So thank you for being here.
Thank
And
you so
Mark,
much,
we're
Ava.
ready for you. You're welcome, my dear.
Welcome to the Health, Wealth, and Wisdom Summit, Parents Edition. Your host for this session is Ava Goulet. Ava is the founder of Dancing Jaguar Inspirations and an international best-selling author. She's got another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Ava.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And I'm so excited to be here with our next speaker. I'm so glad that all of you are here listening to her because I can't wait to hear her share the incredible work that she's doing. Dr. Beata Harasim is here with us right now, and she is a holistic and integrative doctor of physical therapy, a fellow of the American